Good morning. It's Tuesday, July 16th, Guinea Pig Appreciation Day. I've had 3 guinea pigs in my life. They were all very cute, but their cages were miserable to clean, and if I'm being honest, through no fault of my own, none of them lived to a full life expectancy. Johnny Moe and Midnight, may their memories be a blessing. And now the news. There is just so much news. We're going to start with an update on the Israel-Hamas war, which is still happening, despite the fact that the only news that currently seems to break through is election stuff. Don't get me wrong, that's important as well, but that is not the only important thing happening here. On Sunday, an Israeli military strike killed at least 22 Palestinians and injured at least 100 more when a strike hit a school that was being used as a refugee camp. Witnesses say there were no armed fighters there, and children are among the dead in an attack that the Israeli military says killed a number of Hamas terrorists. This is the 5th attack on or near schools in the last 8 days. Meanwhile, on Wednesday, the Israeli military again called for Gaza City to be evacuated. The city was last evacuated in January. It is unclear where Gazans are meant to go in the area, though the Hamas-run Interior Ministry is actually telling people not to evacuate, but to instead, quote, move to a place close to your area of residence if needed. Ceasefire talks are said to be continuing, but there is not a lot of news there, or like public news there. There's also some Trump crime update time. Remember when Trump wasn't in politics and therefore his crimes didn't have to be in the news? Edition. On Monday, bright and early, Judge Eileen Cannon decided, hey, sure would be cool if I could be a Supreme Court justice. Flying around in private planes, leaking decisions, never having to worry about what to wear for work. It's not a bad deal if you're willing to just be like, no thanks to ethics. Some of them do have ethics, I want to be clear. Like, I would say 3 of them. Anyway, so Judge Eileen Cannon dismissed Trump's classified documents case on Monday, not because she does not believe that what Trump did wasn't a crime, but because in the Supreme Court ruling that gave presidents immunity, historical bad man Justice Thomas just on his own was like, and also, should that Jack Smith guy be able to be doing what he's doing? Literally, he said basically that. Nobody vetted him. Okay, Cannon, no one vetted you either, except for, like, Trump liked the idea that a Florida judge would be helpful to him down the line. So, you know, if we're talking about who's not getting vetted, I didn't get to vote for you. She also doesn't like his budget, siding with Team Trump and saying that funding for this should not come through the Treasury unless Congress approves it. Gee, I wonder if Congress would approve it. Though she did say that if funds are relocated, she believes that that part of the case can be worked out, but it doesn't answer the Jack Smith element here. So this is unideal for sure. I was driving to work, I was very upset about this, and then by the time I got to work, I was less upset. So here's the thing, it would be one thing if this case was dropped because there just was not enough evidence for the case to continue, but it's not about that. It's about, let's just try and throw it out in a way that Team Trump has tried before and no judge has accepted. That was the part that made me really mad. No judge has accepted this. Until I remembered the way that our judicial system works, because Coach Beard will appeal this, and when he does, it is possible that it will go to another judge. And based on everything that has happened with Judge Cannon, and every time things get appealed and kicked over to another judge, her decisions get overturned, my hunch is that whichever judge gets this case next time, if there is a next time, that judge will do the right thing and at least hear the case. So that's good. That's where things stand right now. We'll know more when we know more, but as of right now, Judge Cannon has dismissed the case, and Jack Smith has said that he will appeal. Quote, I go back and forth between thinking that Trump is a cynical a-hole like Nixon who wouldn't be that bad and might even prove useful, or that he's America's Hitler. That's J.D. Vance. He wrote a book called Hillbilly LG. You may have read it. He is also currently a senator in Ohio. And as of Monday, he's Trump's pick for vice president. The guy that was like, I don't know, he either sucks or he's America's Hitler. And Trump was like, yeah, my guy. I keep seeing that quote all around the internet, and it's a good quote, don't get me wrong. Like, people should be repeating that quote, but to me, all it says is that J.D. Vance is spineless, and Trump loves nothing more than, like, getting people to submit to him. There's nothing necessarily new there. But if you're only just now coming to learn about J.D. Vance, congratulations. And also, here are some important things to know about him. He is against abortion with no exceptions for rape or incest. He is against support of Ukraine and wants no funding at all to go to support of the country. And in fact, he told Steve Bannon on his podcast, quote, "I've got to be honest with you, I don't really care what happens to Ukraine one way or the other." Which, just a quick side note here, I hate that. I disagree with him on that, we should be in support of Ukraine, that's my belief. But just the idea of, like, I don't care what happens to an entire country full of people, not my very favorite for a vice president. Feels like he should care what happens to an entire country full of people. You know what I mean? It's a radical idea, but that's what I believe. He also believes that, quote, Joe Biden's open border is killing Ohioans. He wants a merit-based immigration system and would, quote, oppose every attempt to grant amnesty to folks that are here illegally. And of course, he thinks the election was stolen, and this is important, if he had been Trump's VP in 2020, he says that he would have overturned the election. That's super important. Obviously, Trump is, of course, going to get an election denier, but it's not like we should still be talking about it. He does not believe in climate change. He wants a 10% tariff on goods coming in from other countries and is a firm supporter of Israel, saying that, of course, his heart goes out to the civilian casualties in Gaza, but the fault lies with Hamas, not Israel. Now, what's happening in Gaza is both complicated and not. It is not complicated to be against the deaths of children and people who are not associated with Hamas at all. The politics of it are complicated. Having something be both complicated and not complicated is on its own complicated. J.D. Vance does not seem like someone who is capable of having that thought process. And the reason I know that is because he's not doing it. Things like what's happening in Gaza require two planes of thought. Understanding that some things can be both not at all complicated and also complicated. And I don't mean to blow your mind, but I'm not voting for J.D. Vance. But like, on the off chance that we work super, 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 super hard and then unfortunately he becomes our vice president, I'd like him to be capable of, complicated thoughts. Anyway, so that's J.D. Vance. He is not awesome. The Republican National Convention started on Monday. I'm not going to talk a ton about it unless news breaks there. Otherwise, it's just like an ad for fascism, and they're not going to get that from me for free or for money. They can't. I'm not going to take their money either, but I'm for sure not going to do it for free. Look, here's the deal. I can report on every infuriating thing that is said this week at the convention, or I can use that energy to tell you to go make sure that 3 friends are registered to vote. One of those things is certainly a much better use of my time and energy than the other. Let's go to wearevoters.turbovote.org and check that voter registration. About 288,000 customers are without power in Texas still after last week's Hurricane Beryl ripped through the state. CenterPoint Energy, which is the only option in that area of Texas, did say that they were prepared for this year's storms, but now we've got people sleeping in cars because there's at least air conditioning in their cars, but that costs money. It costs money to fill up the tank to be able to run it with the air conditioning. It costs money to put food in a fridge that just doesn't work, and now all that food is rotten. This is a bad situation. And if you've never been to Texas before, if you're not aware of this, it is so hot there in the summer. Man, it's in the high 70s overnight in Houston this week with humidities in the low to mid 70s. Not a great situation to have to not have power. So hopefully they can get that power back on soon. And that's it. That's the news. I'm proud of guinea pigs. They're so cute. They have 14 toes. That's not what makes them cute, but it certainly is a fun fact for sure. But more than that, because it doesn't matter how many toes you have. The fact of the matter is, I'm proud of you.